maybe. Welcome into the Legislative Lounge. We are your hosts, Natebige and Professor Mike, as he gets situated over here, it looks like. But
Don't mind me having some technical difficulties.
so that's what I love about this podcast is it makes everything a little bit easy going. Nothing has to be formal. But yeah, we definitely, we've been 2 weeks off. I was dealing with some illness last week, so we apologize for not having an episode last week. But I'm back healthy, ready to roll it out for 2025. And man, do we have a lot of topics that we can really discuss tonight. But we also want to make this a little bit more freeform for you guys. So if you guys have any questions or you want us to talk about something, drop it in the comments, put it in the chat. Let us know what you got going on because there is a lot been going on just the last 2 weeks. So I mean, right off the bat, we always our podcast is mainly about introducing legislation that we want to break down for you guys. And over the last week, there hasn't been a whole lot of movement in regards to anything that's hard hitting until today. Today, the Three Stooges, as I'm calling them, a couple of senators. We got Senator Durkin or Durbin, Senator. What's the other guy's name? We got Senator Welch and Senator Schultz, Schatz out here. That sounds kind of convenient.
Yeah, that sounds like a
But
good name.
they actually introduced today Senate Joint Resolution 121, and it is probably the most treasonous type of legislation out there due to the fact that not only can they not do this, it call for the way that the Constitution is written, it calls for an actual convention of states for something like this to happen because it's an amendment to the Constitution. But what they're doing is they filed this joint resolution to actually, again, this is probably like the third or fourth time since 2000 that this Durbin guy, that's his name, that Senator Durbin, I believe, is the individual that co-sponsored this, but he was active on Twitter today. Yeah, Richard Durbin out of Illinois. This is about like the third or fourth time he's introduced some ridiculous piece of legislation like this to abolish the actual constitutional electoral college and provide a more direct election, which would devolve us into a democracy, a pure democracy, rather than a representative republic as the Constitution is written. Mike, I don't know if I know you haven't really seen much of it because it actually came out today. So, what are your first thoughts just seeing this?
Well, I mean, judging by what we saw in the last election, where basically every state essentially voted red. I mean, you had states like even California where half the state voted red. This is a continuous tried method for the Democrats to push this type of legislation. It's not the first time; won't be the last time. The Electoral College is extremely fundamental in the construction of the Union of the Republic. It gives every state an equal voice. So
Right.
we're not primarily ran by the voice of California or New York.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to, I mean, their biggest thing is because over the last several election cycles, the president has or the Democrats have won the popular vote, which is their entire. But the problem with that is, as everybody knows, Donald Trump won the majority of the votes as well, which is the first time since I believe what 2001 when George Bush took it, or 2004 when George Bush took it actually. But so it's like, what's the point of this? I mean, you guys have introduced this 3 or 4 times now. It's failed every time. Why? Because it's unconstitutional to begin with. You guys
Yeah,
have no grounds to do it.
they'd have a better like when it comes to these convention of states movements, they'd have better luck seceding from the United States rather than passing this.
Honestly, I wish some of us would. I mean, there's been a lot of talk in regards to secession, anyways. But the one of the funniest things kind of lead us here is where Donald Trump this last week, being the biggest troll on the internet. I swear, I will put anybody up against Donald Trump and being the biggest troll. Trump will waste them when it comes to trollism, trollda and fandom, or whatever you want to call it, because
Hey,
this man
I
literally,
support it.
this man out here saying things like, if Mexico and Canada are gonna be, you know, bottle feeding off of us, or however he worded it, and they might as well become the 51st and 52nd state of the United States.
I
And they,
support it.
right? I mean, their entire system would collapse without America. I mean, there's a lot of countries out there that would collapse without the financial backing of the United States, but nobody wants to
Yeah,
acknowledge that.
$500 billion in trade.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
speaking of money and billions of dollars, did you know that the Department of Education spent $1 billion on DEI?
Oh Lord. I think I saw something about that tweet. I believe I saw your video as well. I mean, that takes me back, to I was having a conversation with Julie Pickren, which is on the state board of education here in the state of Texas, and we were going through things just like that. It's like just the ridiculous spending. I mean, we've already talked about it on here before, but $268 billion, or just north of that, is allotted to the Department of Education every year. Only 80 billion of that goes to education. It's like actual institutions, of which majority goes to things like Pell Grants. So if you're worried about your K through 12 spending and where they're going to get their money, and they're underfunded already, they're only getting about 6 to 8% of the 80 billion, which is only of the 268 billion that they do get on an annual basis.
This is why I support 100% demolishing the Department of Education, because we've talked about it before. So since 1979, the illiteracy rate in this country has skyrocketed from less than 4% to above 21%. And like we've said before, that's one in every five adults doesn't possess the ability to read or write. That's roughly 65 million Americans. So it's like, what have they done except stupid shit?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see it all the time, even on social media. I mean, I believe he's kind of satire, but I saw a video of an individual. I believe he's satire, but there's a lot of people that have been going at him for the last couple days or so. I don't know if you've seen it, Mike, where he's a young guy. He's a young kid. He's probably maybe late teens, early 20s, if that. And he's like, "Well, Donald Trump's been in office for a month now, and he hasn't done anything." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I mean, I know you might be satire, but there are people that believe this, because you got people like Harry Sissons out here, right? Everybody knows Harry Sissons. He's a Democrat shield paid operative for the Democrat Party on social media, primarily TikTok. Out here saying, it was 2 3 days ago, he put out a video saying, "Oh well, look at now. He's been only elected for a month, and Republicans are already regretting their vote." I'm like, regretting what? He hasn't done anything because he can't. He's the president elect. He's not even in office for still over 30 days. We're still over 30 days from him taking office.
Yep, 31 days.
Is it 31? Well, it's the 16th, doesn't it? Isn't January 20th?
Uh, yep, January 20th, so 35 days.
Yeah,
I
I was
don't know.
going to
I
say
can't
30,
math right now. I'm tired.
34. 34. But yeah, but I mean, still, it's over a month away. And even to this point, I made a reply video to him because I was just like, this is stupid. Because, first of all, there isn't a single Republican out there that within a month of him being president elect, right? 34 days away from him actually taking office where he can actually do something. Nobody's regretting their vote. The only person that might be regretting their vote are fake personalities on TikTok and Instagram saying, "Oh, I voted for Donald Trump." Because I mean, you can sit here, you try and what are you afraid of? Like, what are you regretting is the question.
Bringing up the whole election. There's also rumors of Miss Kamala Harris running for governor of California.
Well, I mean, yeah, we get that to that in a minute, but I need to hit home on this because it's like You guys do realize he the only things that he's done that's fear mongering to you people because you're lesser of brains is that the whole tariff situation. But yet he's got Canada, he's got Mexico, and he's even got China coming to heel over the whole situation.
But
And
these people don't understand taxes, let alone tariffs.
right, like I had an argument with one of our own yesterday, a couple days ago, saying like, if you don't know income terms, don't talk to me about tariffs. Uh, but
Exactly.
But even today, he's not even in office. 34 days away from inauguration, right? He's already created 100,000 jobs. You want to know how? It's because SoftBank, the CEO of SoftBank, standing next to Donald Trump today, announced that they were going to invest $100 billion into the United States in operations opening here, and that would create around 100,000 jobs. And at that moment, Donald Trump's like, "Hey, can we negotiate 200 million or billion?" And
Well,
the CEO
that
laughed.
that goes into what he was saying. Um, if you invest, if you're a foreign company and you invest over $1 billion, you'll receive a tax incentive.
Mhm.
That's great because it's going to drive American industry, which means more jobs, and we're gonna see that inflation rate just collapse right back down to 1.4% where it's where when he left.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like people don't understand the tactics of tariffs. Tariffs are used as a tactic to influence production in America. That's what every country does. And like we've already discussed it on a numerous occasions, we did a whole podcast on tariffs. America is 300 and I think it was 350% lower than what China does in regards to tariffs, right? They're at like 37% or something is what they tariff everything on. We're at 3.2 or 3.5% or something like that. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
if you actually look at the wealth in this country from 1913 to now, we have drastically decreased in wealth as a nation because of the implementation of the federal income tax. It's like, how many times can my money be taxed? Like, I have to pay taxes. I have to pay federal income taxes, state taxes, consumer taxes, sale taxes, property tax. Like, I'm paying tax. I'm paying taxes on with money that's already been taxed. That's not even
Realized
real money
gains
to begin
tax,
with.
realized gains tax, unrealized gains tax. I mean, there's taxes
That
everywhere.
the unrealized gains is the stupidest concept I have ever heard of.
Bro, they got road tax and gas tax and numerous different types of taxes in Michigan. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Mhm.
It's just ridiculous. And then you got yahoos out here in Congress that are promoting this nonsense with all these types of legislation. You know, one of the biggest yahoos out there, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, you heard about what happened with her, right? Seems like little old Nancy got a little too tipsy, and she took a stumble, just like what's that guy, that late night show host that took a
Must have been that.
stumble.
Must have been that rum flavored Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, I know, right? A little too tipsy there for you. But I mean, what's funny about the whole situation is not only that, because Mitch McConnell took it on a stumble too. I mean, I don't know why these dinosaurs don't retire by now, but she literally she went to Europe to get this hip replacement that she needed. And you got people out here complaining about our healthcare system, right?
Why'd you go to
Just
Europe?
exactly. That's my point. Like, we're out here, we're supposed to be like, oh, Obamacare is so great, it's so fantabulous. But yeah, everybody's still complaining about the healthcare system. It's like, y'all do know that that's Obamacare, right? That you're complaining about. Like, that's the one that's making, healthcare costs and insurance costs and all these other procedure costs skyrocket and have been. And we've been telling you guys this since what, 2014 when it was introduced?
Can you imagine if the mandate for that was still around today?
I mean, we'd be a war, man. I tell you right now, people were ready to go to war back then, and I was just like in my early 20s, and I knew people were livid over it. I told myself, because there was people that were actually being hit with that tax too because they didn't
Mhm.
have the insurance.
Yeah.
And it's like it's my choice not to have insurance.
Mhm.
Like,
It's
right now, personally,
ridiculous.
myself. Yeah, like, personally,
Ridiculous.
myself, I don't carry health insurance.
I have VA healthcare, which is nothing to talk about.
No, yeah, I mean, geez, that's a whole nother subject that we get into for the love of God. I mean, didn't they just recently introduce some kind of piece of legislation for the Republicans did, where it was shot down by them to help fund more of the VA or something? Maybe you
Yeah.
know more
So
about that?
one of the main issues is since I want to say 2022, late 21, early 22, a lot of our resources in the VA were funneled down to deal with processing at the border. So
Mm,
processing claims, processing citizenship, what have you, instead of helping our veterans. So that's why it took me. I only got out in October of 22. It's taken me 2 years to get my diagnosis of
mm,
PTSD.
yeah.
Imagine that. I'm just now getting help for my back.
I know,
Thank
that,
good
like, that's a whole
thank
'nother
goodness
situation.
thank goodness, you and I worked out. Like my doctor even told me the only reason I can walk is because of my back muscle and my core strength.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. And the fact that, we got, US senators and House members and, you know, uh, Supreme Court justices and people in the White House and whatnot that have lifetime benefits, just perfect, beautiful, all awesome medical insurance that they don't ever have to worry about. They don't pay because the taxpayer pays for it. But you got, US soldiers out here that literally fought and died for them to have those out, and they can't get the necessary treatment just to treat themselves from, you know, putting themselves down. What are we at? 24 a day? It's not even 22 a day anymore. It's 24, right?
It's actually much higher, but
Jesus.
what they'll tell you is it's 24.
I mean, that's just crazy. Like, we're out here not caring about our US citizens, l- let alone, but the people that literally protect us. We don't want to do nothing with them.
But
Especially, I mean, like, go ahead.
it's one thing because it's one thing to talk about the veterans, who are charged with preserving the freedoms that we take advantage of, right? And we, if I'm ever placed into a position of responsibility where I get the privilege of exercising the will of the people, I'm also going to make it my mission to provide a VA style system for our first responders.
Right. I mean, at least have some kind of tiered system. Like, if they're combat veterans, like somebody that's actually seen action, they should get everything covered. Like if you're like a desk jockey that just does paperwork, I mean, obviously you want to get something. Don't get me wrong. They're absolutely needed. Their positions. I don't take anything away from any soldier, in any form. But like somebody that's literally getting blown up and shit like that, like those are the type of people that need to have the medical insurance for damn sake.
Well, soldiers definitely soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, guardians. Uh, I don't know what the hell you call the space force, but Martians.
You know what? The Space Force are them idiots that are doing this stuff over to New Jersey. We
The
got UFOs, guys. We got the aliens out here, and I guess the Pentagon actually finally, admitted recently we got UFOs out here. But my wife actually sent me something a couple of days ago because everybody's like the people from the military going in front of Congress saying, "Oh, we're not sure what it is." In all reality, they know exactly what it is because there was a 25-year veteran uh, a radar or something like that. I'm trying to find the information that my wife sent me. Yeah, here we go. So he's a 20 radar guy. He's 25-year radar operator of a major agency and said the drones are part of a military drill being conducted by Space Force. Everything is on a need to know basis, which is why there's so much confusion. What gets me concerned and why I had to make this post is that something big is about to go down. I happen to know that there are additional full lock, he puts that in quotation, full lockout drills that are scheduled to take place between now and Christmas Eve. These operations involve the full overturn of all radio, radar, and aircraft communications to the military for several hours at a time. In conjunction with that, there are also scheduled satellite launches off the books, which have been occurring since October. They are setting up some kind of big show for the public very soon. CNN was even out at our facility shooting pre-roll footage for a future story. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I know. Uh, but all I know is this: get ready, peace and safety for all you and your family. So this is coming from somebody that obviously understands kind of what's good, the general sense at least of what's going on in the air, and he's saying exactly what everybody thinks is going on. Not to dive too much in conspiracy, which I absolutely can, but there's been talks for the last couple years about Project Bluebeam and all this other stuff. And what is Project Bluebeam mainly centered around? Drones. You're muted.
Speaking of drones, there's been a lot of those sightings all over, even here in Phoenix.
I know. I actually just got. I just read an article before I got in here that they found them here over Texas. They have no idea what they're for, of course, but it's like,
Donald Trump actually put out that I think he said that they should be authorized to shoot them down, or that there's authorization to shoot them down.
yeah. There was a something on Twitter, I guess. I mean, like I say, I'm not on Twitter, but he put out something around saying he even knew what they were alluding. He was alluding to something that he knew what they were. Let me see if I can find it
So,
real quick.
what speaking of Donald Trump, you know, he talks about his day one things that he wants to do. So things that he wants to release, which I see this happening, and this is why all the Democrats are going crazy. He's going to release the Epstein files. He's going to release the JFK files, the RFK files, the MLK files, the 9/11 files. He's
Mhm.
releasing it all, and you have these leftists that are saying, like, oh, he's going to incriminate himself with the Epstein files. It's like, there's if he was ever part of those lists, like the Diddy list or the Epstein list, the Democrats would have used that during the last 4 years of persecution.
Right? Like, I mean, come on. Like, you
But
you guys really think that he's gonna sit out here and incriminate himself? I mean, just recently, there was he had filed a motion to kind of go in conjunction of that. He filed a motion to put forth a dismissal for the whole case in New York in regards to the hush money and whatnot. Well, I guess about I don't know about an hour ago now it was dismissed, rejected by Judge Merchan, and it's like what with everything that's going on and him wanting to release all that information, I'm saying what with Biden's doing, pardon yourself.
yeah,
Pardon yourself for everything. So that, because I mean, if they're gonna do it, might as well. I mean, you got Biden out here making records in regards to pardons and commuting sentences. Like, what was
hmm
it? The other day he did 36 pardons and 1,800 uh, what is he commuting of sentences, which was the largest commute and pardon by any president in a single day. You look at the record now. There was a
hmm
chart.
yeah. I think I want to say, I could be wrong. I want to say that chart, that graph that you were speaking of, out of the past 5 presidents, Donald Trump was the lowest.
I believe so. Actually, I was trying to find it, but I couldn't find it. I saw it earlier today.
But Biden, like, there's no comparison. He's like double and triple and quadrupled, every other president for the past couple decades.
It's well over double. It's almost approaching triple the next
And
nearest.
speaking of Donald Trump's legal stuff, did you see that George Stephanopoulos had to pay him 15 mil?
Yeah, was it and ABC? Was it ABC?
Yeah, ABC.
ABC. And he's gonna be going after CNN. He's going after that pollster from that put out that Iowa poll before, like a day or two before. I saw that.
Uh-huh.
So 2 days after the election, she actually quit too, and was like, oh, I don't know what happened. She went on some kind of podcast or whatever and they tried to, get her to explain how she came up with the numbers from the article that she wrote, and she couldn't figure it out. So
Yeah.
people are out here literally talking about putting charges on her for it because it's
The
illegal.
the most asinine thing. The most asinine thing. Donald Trump was, let's see, he was found liable for defamation for saying he did not rape 𝗬𝗓𝗏.
Hmm.
George Stephanopoulos and ABC have to pay him 15 million for saying that he raped 𝗬𝗓𝗏.
Hmm.
Let's think about that for a second.
Well, you know what the argument's always going to be, Mike. They're always talking about, oh, well, the judge said that he raped her. I was like, I don't care what the judge says. What did the jury say? Because it's
But
right in the documents where they literally say that they determined that he did not rape her.
but think about that. He was found liable for saying that he didn't do that to her, but now ABC has to pay him money for claiming that making a statement that he did do that to her. It's asinine.
The cognitive dissonance of the American people is it's astounding. It's like it's right in front of your face, but you guys can't put two together. You know,
This is why
one
I think
plus
that
one equals two, guys. Like that. I don't know if that's a reality or some kind of mind blown revelation, but
not anymore. Math is racist.
Jesus, we get into the whole mess. But golly, you got people out here just saying the most ridiculous things that it's amazing to me to see all of the hatred still pouring out on Trump after most of America, 77 million people, which, mind you, people, that's 3 million more people than what he got in 2020, which was a record, even though Biden got, this fictitious 81 million. But somehow Kamala Harris only, is underperformed him by nearly 10 million votes with a record registration in this election. Mind you, we had more registered voters in 2024 than we did in 2020, and yet we still had less votes.
Hmm. Well, that's what happens when you don't count the cemeteries.
Exactly. And you need to get rid of states like Washington where it's all mail-in ballots. Ridiculous. I didn't even know that existed.
Well, you saw based on the data that the only cities that voted blue didn't require ID.
Right. There was like what, like all of the states that she won, that Kamala Harris won. I think there was only 2 of them that actually had some kind of proof. It wasn't ID, but it was some kind of proof. All the rest of them were literally said no ID states. I was like, that's convenient. I don't
Very.
know.
Yeah, but yeah, watch out, California. She's coming your way. She wants to be your governor.
Oh Lord, that's a whole nother like. I mean, you really gonna sit out here and try and go toe to toe with Gavin Newsom, like the
Um,
Wonder Boy of California? Like, what are you doing?
I know you from behind the scenes kind of scroll through X. Did you see the this ridiculous 2028 electoral maps meme going around between
For Kamala
Harris
Harris?
and
Yeah,
Vance?
yeah, yeah.
365. What?
My thing is, bro, they put Texas as blue again. I don't know how many times I gotta point this out to you, remedial individuals. Texas is not going blue. No matter how much you want it to, it's not. When you look at the numbers, people, oh, well, there's more Democrat votes. Well, you also have to look at the Republican votes as well. And going back as far as 2001, the differentiation in percentages between how many votes the Democrats got And how many votes the Republicans got has only increased year over year over year. It has increased. The Republican vote here in Texas, the state has gone more red than what it did in 2001. Since 2001. I know I said that weird. 2001, 2001 to 2024, it has gone more red than it has in the last 20 years. So this fictitious, America or Texas is going blue nonsense is dead. It's never started. I don't know where it comes from. It's like people don't look at these numbers, Mike.
People never look at the numbers. That's why the narrative that this country is racist continues to thrive. People love to say things like police brutality is prevalent in minority communities. Did, um, can you tell me how many Black Americans lose their lives to police, unarmed Black Americans every year?
I don't know the exact number, but the last time I looked, I know it was way less than white people.
Take a guess.
Like on a country basis,
Nationwide.
nationwide, couple hundred.
15. 15 unarmed Black Americans lose their lives to police officers.
Now, do we know the other demographics? Because I mean, me and you, I know we don't play the whole race game because, like, first of all, for anybody that knows, and be like, oh, I got 2 white guys. I'm mixed, okay? So y'all can't use that shit with me.
I'm confused.
I don't give a damn about y'all saying, oh, you're white presenting. Eat a dick. Honestly, eat a dick. This is my podcast. I'll say what I want, okay? Because first of all, my mama's brown, and the rest of my family's brown, okay? I grew up with a brown family. So y'all can miss me with the whole racist stuff. Because when you look at these numbers aren't racist. You just don't like them because they don't fit your crybaby narratives.
I'm definitely white. I only have salt and pepper in my cabinet.
Jesus. But I mean, that's the thing is you got people out here trying to stir up these narratives that don't exist. And then they're like, oh, well, these numbers aren't accurate. Okay, so where are you getting your numbers from then? Well, this .com. Where do you think they're deriving their numbers from?
Do you know what the coms and the nets and the govs, do you know what those all mean? It's like they're abbreviations for something.
Jesus. It's sad. But it's like, where do they get their baseline information from, though? Right?
They're liberal professors.
No. Where do their liberal professors get their baseline information from in regards to those statistics? The FBI, right? The crimes division. That's where they're all, and those are the only numbers me and Mike talk about. Why? Because they're the actual numbers. No matter how much you guys want to cry over race relations and all this other nonsense, they don't exist.
Well, we also got to remember that the FBI tried to do some shady shit this year, tried to slide some accurate numbers over the summer.
True. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Apparently, they tried to say that crime was down, but it increased like double-digit percentages.
Was it the violent crimes over the last 4 years has like almost tripled since Biden took office? It's crazy. And we want to say here with the side of peace and harmony. It's like it's peace and harmony because you guys keep killing everybody.
I do want to bring up, something that did happen today that's truly tragic coming out of Madison, Wisconsin. And, I hate when people disregard the fact, that we put our thoughts and our prayers to these individuals that were affected. Coming out of Madison, Wisconsin, at the Abundance Christian School that has K through 12, there was a mass shooting. The suspect is a 17-year-old female. She is no longer with us, died by suicide. 12 individuals were injured. Um, we know of one, I want to say one student that lost their life,
As of yeah, about 30, 40 minutes ago, it was one student and one teacher has passed.
but I called it earlier, and it's repugnant that lawmakers use instances like these to peddle gun control legislation. Gun control will never affect criminals. Like that,
Mhm.
people need to exercise some logic. Like it doesn't. You want universal background checks? We already have them. It is the most basic background check. You know who doesn't get background check? Criminals.
You know what they do, Mike, is they sit here and they'll be like, we'll say, "Oh, these people, every single case, they've been obtained illegally almost."
Hmm.
And they were like, "Well, they were purchased legally. Are they being operated legally?" Right? Like today, people that's what people are gonna say. Oh, her parents probably purchased the gun illegally, so she had it illegally because she's a teenager.
Hmm.
So you can miss me with all that nonsense about but it was purchased legally. She was not operating it legally.
Nope. And I don't want to spread rumors about backgrounds because that hasn't been released yet.
Right. But
I'm
I
live
mean,
on I'm live on TikTok and my live just got restricted.
that's why we do this, that they don't like the truth. They don't like people talking about reality and giving the information out there. Because there is actually some rumors, I'll say it since I'm not on your live, is that there are some speculations that this individual might be trans too, which would be another one of those situations where because people don't know if they don't know that school that was attacked in Madison, Wisconsin was actually a Christian K through 12 school. So that would make sense because the last time
Was
this happened, they did the same exact thing. It was like another Christian school. It's
wasn't that
like,
Nashville?
was it Nashville? I don't know.
Was
It
it
was that
was it?
transgender individual that had the AR-15.
I want to say it was in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was Tennessee. I believe so
Like
because that's where the FBI wouldn't release the manifesto and all that. Right, right.
I want to
Oh,
know. I want to know. Like this generation is, as far as IQ goes, the most illiterate, unknowledgeable. I'm not going to say uneducated because they're up to their eyeballs in debt from their quote unquote education. How do these people how do all these shooters have manifestos? Can they even spell the word manifesto?
I think I figured it out. You know me, man. I can't spell for nothing, but at least I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I ain't
Um,
out here acting like I'm more intelligent than I am. But.
but it's like when you look at instances like this is um promulgated by the media. You have the media spreading divisive rhetoric that drives these actions.
Mhm.
Like you have, well, we'll bring Donald Trump back into it. You call him all these sorts of names. He's going to be a dictator. He's going to be an authoritarian. He's going to take away your rights. And then somebody goes and tries to assassinate him.
Mhm.
You call Christ, you call Christians white nationalists, racist, what have you. You have people going and try to erase them from existence.
Mhm.
This is what the media is doing, and y'all just keep watching them. You need to cancel them.
And of course, they started their rhetoric again. And it's like, oh, it's the guns, it's the guns, it's the guns. But what I love about it is like when we start to point out the fact that it's literally being operated by a mentally ill person, they'll agree with us that it's the mental illness that's the problem. But yet they always revert back to the guns. It's like, oh, it's the guns. You can restrict the guns. It's like, that these people are operating them illegally, right? You can't stop that by passing more laws. We've got 26,000 of them.
And then they're like, well, how do you want to deal with the mental illness? Well, that's a multifaceted situation, right?
Well,
Be-
let's
because,
dive into the facets.
well, we could talk about the hormonal imbalances that are driven by our food. We could talk about the the media driven madness, the divisiveness in our country, the divisiveness in our educational spheres.
Was it
Um,
the over medication of
yeah,
antidepressants and things like that? Like
the, the,
what was it last year? A year over year for the last few years, there was over 9 billion prescriptions that were written for antidepressants. Nine
we have a
billion.
a population of 360 million, and I think last year there was like 330 prescriptions.
It's un- we're the one of only two countries in the world that promote antidepressants and other medications for mental illnesses on the television.
Yeah.
Luckily, RFK is going to try and eliminate that, which I hope to God he does, because honestly, if people stop knowing about this stuff, they'll go outside in the sun and stop being so depressed because they'll stop putting crap into their body that's making them depressed. Like,
Well, it's like
start with your food.
there's no such thing as preventative medicine anymore. It's, oh, you feel this way?
Patch
Here's a
overs.
pill. Here's a pill.
Mhm. Patch overs. I mean, it's a money pit. That's what we always say. I've always said that there's a secret saying in the medical community: a patient cured is a customer lost. And man, does that just hold true more weight every single day. Because yeah,
100%.
that's all the pay, like, especially when you go to these family doctors. Now, mind you, I talk, people be like, "Oh, are you a doctor?" No, I come from a long history of medical professionals. I was in school for medicine at one point, and I just can't stand looking at these doctors, especially family doctors, like the ones that you just go in to see. Most of them. Now, I have met a few of them that aren't this way. Like my mother's doctor before she passed was a phenomenal doctor. She was a all alternative before medication type person. Although she believed in certain sods that I thought were poison, but she would like I have acid reflux, right? Like I have got it bad. It's inherent, or it's herited from my father and my sister had it. I have to be medicated on it, or else I get it every single day just from drinking water, right? Well, she tried, of course, doing my diet and all these other things first, which is what doctors need to do. The problem is you keep giving medication out, you're just patching over. You're not actually, taking care of the issue. That's the problem.
Well, when you look at it, so when you actually look at the educational requirements for a doctor, um, their nutrition class, their basic nutrition class is optional.
Yeah.
It's like
Same thing with
six,
uh,
16
we, we,
hours
we-
at most.
right, and we go to like immunology when it comes to like vaccines and stuff like that. Like they have one class unless they specialize in it.
Hmm.
One. And they
But
don't
it,
even
but the
dive into the specifics of the vaccines.
like even that, like when you're talking about preventative medicine, there is never a talk about nutritional health. And the word diet had become a fad for
Mm,
restrictive means. And, majority of people would cure themselves by simply walking more and removing anything that has more than two ingredients from their life.
yeah.
Do-
And it's like my
So,
wife. I was
um,
just about to add to that. My wife always says 80% of most critical illnesses here in America can be cured. Yes, I said the word cured by gut health.
yes, yes.
That's what I mean. People don't understand. Like we take that pause so it can sink in for you guys. The crap that you eat, you eliminate 80% of it, or I mean, you eliminate the majority of what you're eating, and start going to more raw diet and things of that nature. And I'm not talking about raw meat. I'm talking about things outside on the outside of the aisles, right? You've heard that terminology.
Mhm.
Shop on the outside aisles, not the inside. And there's some truth to that. If you guys would stop, eating stuff out of boxes and bags and sealed containers and all this other nonsense that has preservatives and cleaning products and all this other stuff in it, you would see a dramatic change in your health.
I mean, you could actually, when you start to dive into it, you'll see that fresh meat, fresh meat is not red.
And we're talking about
That
like cow, right?
Yeah, that's a preservative in it that
Yeah,
they
like when you
inject
go to
into
the
the meat.
store and you see like really red meat, like pinkish red, like that's a dye.
Hmm.
They're literally dyeing the meat. Real meat looks kind of grayish, dark
Hmm.
brown. And people are like, "Oh, that doesn't look good." No, that's the real meat.
Yeah, when your meat starts to get that grayish look in the fridge because you left it in there too long, that's the dye leaving it.
It's like yeah, like I say, real meat is a brown, like a dark brown, almost looks like, what you would most Americans would consider. I'm talking to the audience. What you would consider as like, oh, the meat is spoiled. No, 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 no. It's probably real meat is why it looks like
Mhm.
that.
But it's like it's honestly sad, and we become a generation of entitlement, and people want that rapid, response. Like you hear it every New Year's. You're gonna hear all these New Year's resolution on TikTok before it gets banned. Thankfully, that thing's getting banned because it sucks. But you're gonna hear all these people. My New Year's resolution is gonna go to the gym and lose 50 pounds or 20 pounds or 60 pounds. And then you're gonna hear me and Nate get all pissed off because there's all these New Year's
Oh
resolution folks at
God,
the gym
it is the
hogging up
most
all the weights,
annoying,
making sure they get their TikTok and Instagram photos. I'm at the
bro.
gym.
But like the second week of February, if they are even the first week of February, they're all gone anyways. But it's like for that month of January, it's so annoying because it's like, first of all, they look like absolute buffoons lifting in there because they're doing all sorts of weird stuff. It's like, did y'all not like at least you look at a YouTube video or something before you came in here? Because y'all like I'd be something scenes. You know where all those videos where you see people doing all these weird exercises and like you got this guy like looking this way and then looking that way at like
I
weird people.
love those
Those are
videos.
the people in January, people. Those videos are all taken in January. I swear to God,
Yep. They you got those people that use the cable crossover machine as a thrusting exercise.
bro. And then you got people like doing like shoulders, and they're like just moving their head. I'm like, you're trying to do your shoulders or your head? Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. It's crazy. Like, I just want to sit there and like I want to help you guys, but it's like at the same time you try and help somebody and be like, well, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh yeah, is that why you look like a handicapped kid trying to lick a window? I swear to God, man. These people look like they are remedial up in this gym, and it's annoying because then it gets in our way. People who actually are there every single day almost, and we're trying to actually do something for our health. It's like get out of our way. Go to Planet Fitness. They serve you pizza and candy. Don't go to a real gym,
Yeah. Stay out of EOS.
please, for the love of God.
I already have to deal with the daily Instagram models, whether they be male and female, hogging up the weight fence trying to get their selfies.
Bro. And you got these females out here rubbing their genitals all over these bars and whatnot. But like, I don't want your syphilis all over my bar when I'm lit. Like, come on, man. What are you doing? Just
Speaking of females and high body weights and whatnot, a big popular topic in political culture is abortion, and what coincides with that is the maternal mortality rate. Did you know that one of the compounding reasons why the maternal mortality rate is even at a quarter of a percent is because of the obesity rate?
I wouldn't doubt it, man. Like I say,
Did you?
every
Did yeah? We're as a nation, it's like over almost 60% of the nation is obese.
it's
20 over
disgusting.
20% of our children. Our
I
children.
Yeah, that's childhood. That's child abuse, in my opinion. You see these little kids walking around, they're like 7, 8 years old, but they're like 140 pounds or something like that. I'm like, yo, why don't CPS get involved? Like they're literally making their child unhealthy. But I mean, you'll take a child if they're malnourished, right? But you're allowing these children because they get made fun of. And they ask, I mean, I know this is going to be very controversial and it's going to hurt a lot of feelings if anybody finds this. And I really don't care. But those kids need to be made fun of because obviously their parents aren't doing the job. So maybe a little bit of bullying will help them get healthy for God's sakes because their parents obviously don't give a crap about their health. I mean, it's child abuse.
Hmm. kids gravitate towards structure and they copy their parents. So if your kid is probably obese, you probably should look in the mirror. You should probably pay attention to what you're eating because your kid's going to copy you.
And this is coming from somebody that used to be obese. I literally looked in myself in the mirror one day, and I was like, "God damn, I'm a fat piece of shit." And then I started going to the gym. And then what I did every day is I literally looked at myself in the mirror every single day and said the same exact thing. God dang, you are a fat piece of shit. Guess what? I'm no longer a fat piece of shit.
Nope. Now it's just a hurdle of trying
I'm a
to.
tubby piece of shit.
Now it's just a hurdle of trying to get under 200 pounds.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's a whole nother situation. I'm trying to figure out some gut issues with that.
I'm trying to gain weight and Nate's trying to lose weight.
Man, you know what? They need to hurry up and figure out that fat transplant kind of situation,
I'll take it all.
That's all I'm saying, man. Get me down to like 290, 20 pounds. You got it, bro. I'll be ripped.
Yeah.
It's funny.
But it's sad. Where we are in the world, what things we need to fix. I am so hopeful for RFK. Have you seen that man? That man
Yeah, I
is
know. It's 70 years old. Crazy.
That man is 70 and he is on incline bench doing like I think I saw him doing 135. Just repping. 70 years old.
I
That's
mean,
awesome.
the way that he and this is the guy that they're like, oh, he doesn't know anything about health. I'm like, bro, at least he's not obese like the current person.
Well, there's a lot we could say about the current person.
Yeah.
There's some, obesity issues. There's some mental issues. There's some, reality issues.
Right. Absolutely.
Don't want to get demonetized on YouTube.
But yeah, so thank you guys all for coming in and supporting the channel. We obviously we want to answer any of your questions. You guys have any kind of legislation or topics that you want to put it in the comments, put it in the in the chat, and let us know. We'll bring it up next time, but we're gonna make this a little bit more informal and just shoot the shit and just let you guys know what's going on on Capitol Hill, and we want to know what you guys want to know, and then we'll get to it.
Yep. And if any of y'all have any ideas about like us bringing on a special guest, even if they oppose our our ideas, if they're on the left, the right, the center, if they are a communist, a socialist, a Marxist, or super capitalist, we don't care. We'll bring you on. We want to have the conversation. You can either follow us on our individual TikTok handles, which is Natebige for Congress or Professor Mike, or you can follow our TikTok handle for the podcast, which is the Legislative Lounge. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow us, the Legislative Lounge, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, and Patreon. That way, you can tune into the greatest podcast in America that brings you the truth between the lines.
Absolutely. See you
And
guys
until
next Monday.
time.